What would you do if the person you loved, the person you were about to start a family with, suddenly turned on the very thing that gave you security and independence? In today's story, the protagonist's choice is a masterclass in how to handle it. For several years, I was a stripper. I have no shame about what I did and only quit when a better job offer came along. During that time, I was incredibly frugal. I intentionally lived as cheaply as possible in a tiny, rundown studio apartment, subsisting mostly on ramen, and wearing old clothes. My coworkers had told me it was possible to buy your own place on our income, as long as you saved like crazy, and I was determined to do just that. Before I finally retired from the industry, I had saved enough to buy a 3-bedroom apartment outright. For a while, I rented out the other 2 rooms to help with bills, but I eventually got tired of having full-time roommates. Now, I list them online for short-term stays, which gives me flexibility and peace. This apartment is my sanctuary, my proudest achievement. About 18 months ago, I met Mark, and we've been together ever since. I was upfront with him about my employment history from the beginning. He said he had no issue with it, but he did make one small request, that I tell his family a white lie I sometimes use on my resume, that I was a waitress, which, to be fair, was partially true. At the time, it seemed like a minor compromise for the sake of family harmony. Mark claimed he had no issue with my past, but this small request to lie was the first crack in the facade. I hinted the shame he truly felt and would later weaponize against me. Then, about a month ago, we found out I was 2 months pregnant. Mark was thrilled, saying it was great news and that we should move in together immediately. I naturally assumed he'd be moving into my place. It just made sense. He rents a far smaller 1-bedroom apartment, while I own mine. My apartment has a spare room perfect for a nursery. His doesn't. Plus, I adore my apartment. It's more than just property. It's the physical manifestation of years of hard work, and the thought of leaving it felt like a betrayal of myself. I couldn't imagine giving up the security of owning my home to go back to paying rent or a mortgage. So, I was completely blindsided when he said he didn't want to move into my place. Instead, he proposed that I sell it so we could buy a new place together. I tried to explain what the apartment meant to me. Mark, I love this place, I said, my voice steady. It represents years of me working my ass off, scrimping and saving for every single penny. It's my security. He nodded, feigning understanding. I get all of that. I do, he said smoothly, but the baby will be here before we know it, and we need to be living together, and I don't want to live in your apartment. I was baffled. Why not? I asked, listing its advantages. It's a great apartment. It's central to everything. It's spacious. There's more than enough room for all your stuff. There's even a daycare in this very building and a school a 5-minute walk away. What could possibly be wrong with it? He looked away, a flicker of something ugly crossing his face. Then he said the words that changed everything. I don't want to live in an apartment that was bought with stripper money. The air went still. The phrase hung there, sharp and insulting. A hot wave of anger washed over me. Are you kidding me? I snapped, my voice rising. No fucking way am I selling my apartment. You never seemed to have a problem with my stripper money before now. My mind raced back to all the dinners he'd let me pay for, the small gifts I'd bought him. The hypocrisy was staggering. I am not giving up the security of owning my own home for someone who is suddenly trying to make me feel ashamed of something I'm not ashamed of. This revealed Mark's greatest fatal flaw, his hypocrisy. He wasn't against the money itself, only against the fact that I had earned it independently, giving me a power and security he desperately wanted to control. He tried to backtrack, seeing he'd gone too far. That's not my point, he insisted. My point is, if you sold the apartment, we could use the money from the sale to get a new place. And wouldn't that still be stripper money? I shot back. That's different, he mumbled. How? I demanded. How is it different? He couldn't answer. Instead, he put his hands up and started backing away. I can't talk to you when you're in this state, he said, grabbing his keys. He left, and a few minutes later, my phone buzzed with a text message. He said I was being overreacting and irrational and needed to think about the situation realistically, not emotionally. He finished by saying he wouldn't feel right raising a child in my apartment knowing how I'd purchased it, and that it would never feel like our place because his name wasn't on the deed. As many people pointed out later, this was classic gaslighting behavior. by fleeing the argument and immediately labeling me as irrational. Mark wasn't just avoiding a difficult conversation. He was deploying a classic manipulator's tactic to seize control of the narrative and paint me as the unstable one. For a moment, I almost fell for it. My own sister sided with him, making me question if I was being too rigid. But then I thought about his demand to be on the deed. He was a renter with minimal savings. How much was he planning to contribute to this new, shared home he wanted so badly? The answer was obvious, next to nothing. So, I dumped him. There was one final, clarifying conversation. I told him, as some online commenters had suggested, that I would be willing to sell and buy a new house with him, provided he paid his 50% of the cost. The suggestion made him furious. The mask didn't just slip, he ripped it off himself. He became very angry, very quickly, and said a lot of other revealing things. The most telling was his ultimatum. He didn't want to be a parent at all if I wasn't willing to do everything he wanted, which included selling my apartment and putting his name on the deed of our new, shared home. So, it looks like I'm going to be a single mother. And honestly, I've never been more relieved. I'm keeping my home, my security, and my dignity. This story is a powerful reminder that a true partner will celebrate your accomplishments, not use your past as a weapon against you. You should never have to sacrifice your hard-won security for someone who only wants to control it. So let me ask you, have you ever had a partner reveal their true colors when a major life change was on the horizon? What was the red flag you couldn't ignore?